Welcome to this channel. Today we'll be reading out the chapter The Excavation of the Novel called The Magic of the Lost Temple. Here with me is Havisha Rathod. So shall we start, Havisha, without wasting further time?
Of course.
Then continue, start.
What meaning of excavation?
Khudai.
The excavation. Somehow the news spread like wildfire that night, and the next morning, many men and women gathered
Woman?
gathered at the site with digging equipment in hand. Shankar Master, who was already at the site, instructed everyone. Be very careful, remove the mud gently. The first task is to make a small path so that we can move around easily and maybe fit in the luggage auto. Luggage auto matlab?
Luggage auto is a type of auto. It's a vehicle.
Luggage auto as well. The work began in full swing. The sun was getting warmer and soon it was getting hot.
It was getting hot.
It started getting hot.
Read properly, Havisha.
Was getting hot. यहाँ was का get use हो सकता है क्या?
It started getting hot. It was getting hot. वो भी लगा सकते हैं. लेकिन जो लिखा हुआ वो पढ़ना है ना.
It started getting hot. Meanwhile, Ajji called for a meeting at home with the women of the village.
यहाँ पे देखो अविशा, it was getting hot means ये hot हो रहा था, ठीक है, और it started getting hot मतलब उस पॉइंट से hot होना चालू हो गया. ये डिफरेंस है, इसलिए started आया, ठीक है. Meanwhile, Ajji called for a meeting at home with the women of the village. Next.
After everyone arrived, she suggested, no one is paying the men and women to help with the work at the site. The least we can do is provide them with good food and water. We should give them breakfast, lunch, and drinks like buttermilk and tea. If all of you agree with me, I will convert my backyard into a makeshift kitchen. Makeshift matlab?
Temporary कोई जगह बनाई हो.
Makeshift kitchen. I request you all to come in the morning so that we can divide the work every day. One group can cut the vegetables.
Okay.
Another can cook, while others can carry the food and distribute it at the site. I want everyone to be involved. The children can give everyone drinking water and collect the garbage. Let's not use plastic plates. I will get some banana leaves from our farm and the workers can eat on them. We will make different things for lunch. Around these 3 vegetables and rice, jawar roti and chapatis. Maybe we can restrict the rice so that people don't feel sleepy later while they work. Nooni was surprised. Ajji had turned into the commander of an army, and was spewing
Orders to everyone.
And
Order देना.
spewing matlab?
देना सबको command के देना.
And was saying,
You want to see exact meaning?
अरे भाई पिक्चर पे दिखा देना.
To flow out quickly and to make something flow out quickly in large amounts. Spewing, okay? To vomit. Images. Okay, like this. Giving orders, huh? So flowing out in large numbers. Next.
Spewing out to everyone. She seemed to have forgotten about the aches in her aches in her knees.
I just mean pain होता है ना, उसको बोलते हैं headache, aches.
Ache.
A pain that lives for a long time.
Ache. दिखाओ. Ache, headache.
He's having, okay?
Neck ache. She seemed to have forgotten about the aches in her knees. The children decided to separate into two groups. Some of them wanted to stay at Aji's house and help, while others, included Nooni and her friends, wanted to help at the site. When Nooni reached the site, she was glad to find people happy and excited. The environment was almost festive. Someone had already set up a
Shamyana.
shamiana and plastic chairs for people to sit. Shamiana means?
सामियाना एक टाइप है
जाओ
कि-
पिक्चर दिखाओ, जाओ पिक्चर दिखाओ, पिक्चर दिखा दो, पिक्चर दिखा दो ना, मुझे क्यों नहीं करने देते ये सब?
ये देखो, ये ऐसे टेंट की तरह जहाँ पे चेयर वगैरह रख सकते हैं धूप से बचने के लिए, इसको बोलते हैं शामियाना। ओके,
Shamiana.
दोबारा पिक्चर दिखाना,
माँ की
दोबारा पिक्चर दिखाना, ब्यूटीफुल। नीचे नीचे, ऊपर 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 ऊपर, हाँ ऊपर ऊपर, हाँ ये लगाना एक बार,
ये
हाँ। इसके अंदर रहते भी हैं क्या शामियाना में?
बैठते हैं, टेम्पररी होता है ये विषय, ये रहते
यानी
हैं,
कुछ
रहने का।
देर तक रहते हैं
हाँ।
फिर चल जाते हैं।
हाँ, जो किसी फंक्शन के लिए किया जाता है, ये मैक शिफ्ट होता है, टेम्पररी होता है, ठीक है।
Someone had already set up a shamiana and plastic chairs for people to sit. Aja was the first one to sit there and watch the proceedings keenly मतलब
हिंदी में इंटरेस्टिंग, इंटरेस्ट लेते हुए कुछ करना।
keenly. Haunume Gowda monitored everyone and Shankar Master came now and then to get Aja's advice and opinion on the work being done. Amit and a few others were in charge of garbage collection while Nooni was responsible for distributing the water bottles. Medha settled down at a distance and started working on some few sketches. An hour later, Abdul Rashid phoned Shankar Master and said it will take a few days to get permission from the state. I have also made a few calls to the central government asking for help. But while the government follows its process, I have decided to come to your village along with 4 of my assistants so that we can start the work unofficially मतलब
अनऑफिशियली
मतलब
ऑफिशियली होता है ना कि भी हाँ, इनफॉर्मल वे, अनऑफिशियल में इनफॉर्मल वे मीन्स ना ऑफिशियली, और गवर्नमेंट लेटर्स वगैरह जिनसे रिलेटेड नहीं है बाहर से, हाँ ठीक है, अनऑफिशियली किसी कागज़ में लिखा हुआ नहीं है, बस आप फ़ोन से बात कर सकते हो, वर्डली बोल सकते हो, अनऑफिशियली बोलते हैं।
नहीं समझ में
अनऑफिशियली
Informal.
हाँ इनफॉर्मल वे में, फॉर्मल वे में नहीं, इनफॉर्मल। ऑफिशियली एक लेटर लिखना होता है कि हाँ आप ये कर सकते हो।
यानी
अनऑफिशियली,
किसी व्यक्ति अपने फ्रॉम फ्रेंड्स और
for example, somebody is asking some information to me in my office, I will write a letter and give to that person officially. I'll have a signature, I will have a seal on that, then I'll give that letter officially. I can give that information unofficially also. Well, without sending a letter, I can tell orally. क्या this is unofficially, that way. Okay?
officially takes time.
Yeah.
Start the work unofficially मतलब दोबारा बता, ऐसे फोन से देखना।
हाँ बता दो, बिना लेटर लिखे आप बता दो orally कि हाँ ठीक है।
Unofficially, the summer season is bed down is set is the summer season the summer season is better for excavation मतलब
खुदाई,
excavation
जमीन की खुदाई।
excavation and I want to begin now rather than later when the rainy season is upon us. Unfortunately, we don't have a budget allocated मतलब
allocated means अब होता है ना कि ये मनी है कहाँ स्पेंड करना है।
budget allocated for the project yet. That is my concern. Shankar Master handed over the phone to Ajja, who said, "Please come. We don't want to delay this project under my circumstances."
Under my circumstances?
Under any circumstances. Circumstances मतलब
वो सरकार में किसी भी कंडीशन से,
circumstances.
कंडीशंस।
I have an additional house where you and your assistants can stay. We will take complete care of your Accommodation मतलब
रहने का स्थान.
accommodation of food and
Accommodation.
accommodation and food. But I request you to bring your instruments since we may not have the right tools for you here. If we can help you by escalating
Escalating this. Escalating means higher authority को बताना और आगे बढ़ाना.
escalating this to someone else, let me know so that we can try and talk to them through Hunumegowda. We have already started clearing up the area, but we won't excavate or touch anything until your team gets here. Abdul Rashid was pleased with Ajja's answer and promised to come as soon as he could. Within 2 days, the workers had removed so much mud that they could see some pillars and steps. A few men created a shelter, and Ajji and her team provided dinner and a few petromax
Petromax lanterns. मतलब पेट्रोल से चलने वाली lanterns नहीं, lights.
Lanterns for the men who stayed back at night to guard the site. The next morning, Abdul Rashid drove into Ajja's driveway with a big van and 4 assistants, 2 men and 2 women. Women. Ajja unlocked the house that they used for guests and ensured that it was clean. ये वैन होगा क्या?
हाँ वैन ही तो गाड़ी है.
यानी वैन उनकी हाउस होगा क्या?
नहीं वैन में बैठ के एक व्हीकल है.
तो उसमें लेंगे तो उनका हाउस होगा कहाँ? वैन के अंदर हाउस उठा के ले जाएंगे क्या?
ये कहाँ बोल रहा है हाउस उठा के ले गए? See, the next morning, Abdul Rashid drove into Ajja's driveway with a big van and 4 assistants. और उसमें एक वैन भी थी, वैन में बैठ के आए वो. और 4 assistants भी थे उसमें.
Ajja unlocked the house. कौन सा हाउस?
जो अज्जा ने बोला था ना कि we will give you accommodation. I have one extra house accommodation.
Okay.
That house.
And Ajja unlocked the house that they used for guests and ensured that it was clean. He offered the place to Abdul and 2 men and told the 2 men and told the women to stay upstairs in his own house. That afternoon, the excavation team visited. Excavation.
See pronunciation excavation. इधर भी excavation ऐसे हो रहा है, ऐसे होता है. ठीक है?
Okay भाई.
Excavation.
Okay, next.
कहाँ थी मैं? The afternoon the excavation team visited the site. They were surprised to see the interest and help being provided by everyone in the village. Hanumegowda said, We won't be able to help you with money, but we can provide you with as many helpers as you need. We will work honestly and to the best of our ability because this site belongs to our village. Our village. Abdul Rashid was in his late 30s and he had had lived in many places in Karnataka because of his transferable job. He was experienced and well versed in history. He looked around the site and said, "If you can get more volunteers,
volunteers होते हैं जो अपनी इच्छा से काम करने के लिए करते हैं.
Volunteers that we can finish the job in a short period of time. I am so happy to see the village working as a team. I rarely see such unity in my line of work. Most people think that it is the government's job and disconnect themselves from the project." Ajja and Hanumegowda smiled. They were proud of their community in the village and their village. Then Abdul Rashid's team started unpacking their toolkits. All the children
All the
gathered
children gathered.
around them curiously. The team took out a few brushes and some instruments. One of the men began taking measurements while the other started clicking away with his camera. Under their instructions, the workers removed more of the rubble and continued with the same work in the entire day. Later at night, during dinner, Aji asked, Rashid Sahib, what do you think it is? Are there any chances of it being a stepwell? No, Amma, I can't tell you for sure. At least not until we have worked for a week. But the monument seems to be untouched. And I know that it is going to be a beautiful building. For the next few weeks, the workers and Rashid's team toiled tirelessly. Toiled मतलब?
वे काम करते रहे. Toil.
अरे भाई गूगल काम करते भाई हाँ ऐसे
Toil.
To work very hard or for a long time at something.
Toil.
Okay?
I think I'm toiling at my homework.
This is also toil. No, I didn't try. He's working.
ओह कबूतर
They're
लगाओ
working. They're working.
कबूतर लगाओ
They're all toiling.
नहीं वो पिक्चर लगा वो वाली
ये
अरे भाई ये तो बस पढ़ाना है पढ़ाता रहता है
कौन सी पिक्चर लगानी है?
अरे भाई ये वाली लगाओ तो
ये वाली?
हाँ ये क्या कर रहा है
काम कर रहा है, पोछा लगा रहा है घर पे.
अच्छा
Toiling. Okay? Okay, not okay.
ओके
Toil.
ओके आगे
Toil.
तो ताओ तो
Next. It's a verb, right? It's a verb and noun.
या
खड़ा परिश्रम.
अरे दिखाओ तो कितने पेजेस बचे हैं
Then continue, Isha. Where are we? Rashid team toiled tirelessly.
In time, they uncovered more steps and pillars. But the most exciting discovery was that of the small temples between the pillars. Then the real work began from the top to the bottom, just like any other excavation. The team was keen to see if they would find coins,
Earthenware.
earthenware मतलब
मिट्टी के बर्तन.
earthenware, skeletons, gold, inscriptions of copper plates, inscriptions मतलब
और Isha. Off नहीं है.
inscriptions मतलब
कुछ चीज लिखी हुई हो.
inscriptions
Pillar
or
पे.
copper plates. Coins would indicate the time or era. Time or era मतलब
Time era means युग.
time or era of the construction of the temple.
कौन सी साल में हुआ था ये?
Coins could also give information about the ruler or the wealth of the land. Stone inscriptions would give more details about the temple, when it was built or in whose memory it was constructed. ये पिक्चर दिखाना
देख लो.
अरे छोटी सी है
छोटी सी है तो क्या करो?
इसे दबाओ एक बार इस पिक्चर को
नहीं दबती नहीं ना Isha. Okay, next. कुछ नहीं कुछ खुदाई कर रहे हैं Isha, सफाई कर रहे हैं, देख रहे हैं ध्यान से लाइट से. Next.
As they brushed out the details, 16 pillars were discovered on the first floor. Every pillar was carved out of black stone and was different in design. The polish was so immaculate that it looked like it had been in recent times.
It had been.
In recent times.
You missed this word, Isha.
It had been done in recent times, almost like it had been done by a machine. Shankar Master wondered, how did they do such fine polish in those days when there were no machines at all?
Immaculate का पता है?
Immaculate clean.
हाँ, साफ सुथरा अच्छे से बिना मिस्टेक के.
It is all hand polished, said one of the women from Rashid's team. In those days, people worked with different techniques that have been long forgotten now. The reason that they spent so much time on it is that money wasn't their only motivation. They thought that they were building something beautiful for God. So they did it with sincerity and devotion. Within a few more days, it was clear that the structure was rectangular and opened up to the sky.
To a sky?
Opened up to the sky. What could it be?
What could it be?
What could this be? Asked Ajja. I think it's a well. If it was a complete temple, then it would have definitely had a roof, said Abdul Rashid. The first
First temple.
The first small temple was in the corner of a large platform and faced eastwards. There were well laid out steps and had railings on both sides of the platform. The temple itself was small in size and the name of the deity was written on the top. Chandrasekhara and Shailaja, different names for Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati. Rashid scanned the script of the letters and concluded that the temple must be at least 1,000 years old. The platform molded मतलब
बना देना ऐसे मॉडल किसी शेप में बनाना.
the platform molded into a wall with a running storyline. The first story was of Lord Shiva killing an elephant demon and dancing. The first story was Lord Shiva killing was of Lord Shiva killing an elephant demon and dancing. After a few days, the second platform became visible. It had another temple, that of goddess Saraswati, holding a book and a veena. Saraswati was written on the top, and the story on the wall showcased Krishna's child. The top and the story on the wall showcased मतलब
दिखाना.
showcased Krishna's childhood. By now, 6 weeks had passed since Nooni's arrival. Usha was going to be in Bangalore.
Going to be back.
In Bangalore the next day. She told Nooni on the phone, as soon as I reach Bangalore, I'm going to Somanahali.
I'm going to. Ushi, you're missing the words. Why are you missing the words?
Come.
Read each word, Usha, carefully. Every word, each word is important. And you're missing the words and reading just like that. I don't know what. Can't you see? I'm seeing. Can't you see? No, come again, start.
I'm going to come to Somanahali and bring you back. I have really missed you. Even Shekhar had really missed Nooni. He hated the silence in the house after a hard day of work in the hospital. After Usha reached Bangalore, she called Ajja and Ajji and said, Shekhar and I will come to Somanahali the day after tomorrow. Will you please make sure that Nooni is ready to leave by then? We will really miss Nooni, but I think that you should ask her yourself about when she wants to return. Our village is in the midst of a temple excavation.
किस एक्टिविटी के बीच में?
Midst of a temple excavation. Usha was surprised. I thought that
surprised.
I thought that there was some minor archaeology
मतलब जैसे कि खुदाई करते हैं. आर्कियोलॉजी का डिपार्टमेंट करता है ये कि खुदाई का और किसी बिल्डिंग का देख रेख करना, ये सब आर्कियोलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट का होता है. किसी भी आर्ट को या स्ट्रक्चर को या फिर इसकी स्टडी को आर्कियोलॉजी वर्क. ठीक है.
माइनर मतलब माइनर.
माइनर भी बहुत छोटा छोटा शुरू.
Minor archaeology, archaeology,
Archaeology what?
archaeology.
Archaeology.
Archaeology. Archaeology.
Archaeology.
Archaeology.
Archaeology.
The study of the past based on objects or parts of buildings that are found in the ground. Okay? In the archaeology department, that what they are doing. Just see. Like this, they found there something. Like this. Well, okay. With the brushes and all, they are cleaning. Okay?
Why are they cleaning with brush?
They are excavation. They are doing excavation. They are excavating, and from that they are finding some buildings, old buildings. So that's how they are brushing. They should not remove the real mud. What do you call that structure? That's why they are brushing the sand away from the main structure. Okay. What is that?
Work was going archaeology work going on. Why is the whole village involved? I would love to see the excavation too. Nuni heard everything but didn't know what to tell her parents. She didn't want to go She didn't want to go back yet. After 2 days, Usha and Shekhar arrived at the village. As usual, Shekhar told his father, "We are here only for half a day. We leave in the afternoon." Usha hurriedly went to look for Nuni inside the house, but couldn't find her anywhere. When she went to Ajiz's bedroom, she was startled matlab?
Surprise होना, चमकना.
She was startled to see that Nuni had not packed her bags yet. Ajiz saw her disappointed face and suggested, "Why don't you go to see Nuni?
To see?
Go and see Nuni at the excavation site." Both Shekhar and Usha rushed to the site. They were surprised to see the number of activities going on. People were cleaning, fetching water, writing notes, and some were gently brushing the statues with soft brushes. The location was very clean, and the luggage auto was transporting food. Finally, Usha saw Nuni. She was very busy collecting garbage and putting it in a plastic bag. When she saw her mother, her face lit up with joy. She quickly washed her face and hands in the water tank nearby and ran towards her mother and hugged her. Usha said happily, "Nuni, even though I was in Delhi, my mind was always here. I really missed you. I've got you some nice dresses and some quiz books from Delhi. I've also brought some gifts for your friends." While talking to Nuni, Usha's eyes fell on the structure and its stunning ornate steps. "Oh my God!" she exclaimed. "I never thought that this would be so beautiful." Amma, go talk to Rashid uncle. He can tell you a lot more," Nuni said. Usha immediately walked across to Abdul Rashid. Meanwhile, Shekhar was even more surprised. He had never been able to understand the enthusiasm means
मतलब कि बहुत उत्साह होना, लगन करना.
enthusiasm of discovering something from the past. So what if the temple has been buried for 1,000 years? Maybe, he thought. All small incidents get a lot of importance in a village. Here, people have more time on their hands than in the city. Here, people have more time on their hands. मतलब
उनके पास बहुत सारा टाइम होता है.
Than in the city. क्यों?
सिटी में लोग बिजी रहते हैं. That's what he's thinking. Shekhar is thinking.
Is it
By
true?
seeing all the no, it's not true. By seeing all the people there gathering there.
It's not true. Then what is true?
People are busy with the different activities, Avisha.
In city and there.
Yeah, yes. In village also they'll be doing something.
Here people have more time on their hands than in the city.
Ah.
There is usually no rush to do anything.
To do anything.
To do anything except maybe getting to school or the post office on time. Post office on time. In such a leisure based atmosphere, this break from people's routine must have distracted everyone. Where is the time to do all this in a place like Bangalore, where we have to save every minute for work or travel? Besides, the city has become
So
so cosmopolitan,
cosmopolitan. बहुत बड़ी city को ना.
cosmopolitan that it belongs to everybody and nobody, all at the same time. After talking to Usha, Abdul Rashid came to meet Shekhar. He greeted the doctor and said, "Sir, I am really क्या था? I am really touched by your father's generosity." मतलब
जनरसिटी होता है कि वो अच्छे से कुछ भी सेवा करते हैं, ऐसे दे देते हैं कि हाँ ये भी ले लो वो ले लो.
Okay. Touched by your father's generosity. He supplies coconut water to all of us every day. And in the afternoon, your mother sends us food and buttermilk. Since the excavation began, none of the cucumbers from your farm have
Cucumbers.
cucumbers.
Cucumber है क्या pronunciation इसका?
Cucumber है यार.
हैं?
हाँ.
How do you pronounce it?
Maybe.
Cucumber.
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 बोलती है तू. Cucumber होता है.
Cucumber.
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 Okay, next.
And none of the cucumbers from your farm have been sold. They've all been used by the people here who have been toiling with us for weeks now. Your parents are generous to a fault. Thanks to the wonderful people here, we haven't had to hire any security guards. Moreover, this is a good break for me. I have instructed everyone not to inform the media until the excavation is complete, or else reporters will gather here and ask us questions that we don't have answers to yet. Shekhar did not know what to say and simply nodded. Then he turned to Nooni. "Go home and get ready. We have to leave for Bangalore in 2 hours." "No, Dad, I don't want to go back yet. I want to stay until the excavation is complete. Please, I want to see if the water that Ajit talked about in the story is actually there."
Is actually there.
Nooni came on.
Came on?
"Nooni, come on. It's just a story." Then Shekhar asked Rashid, "Mr. Abdul, how much more time will the excavation take?" "Around 3 more weeks." Dad, Nooni interrupted them. "I have holidays for 4 more weeks and I am very happy here. Let me see the complete stepwell and finish my holidays here. I promise I will come back as soon as it is done." By then, Usha had also joined them. She put her hand around her husband's her hand on her husband's arm and said, "Shekhar, there are so many things about life that you can't learn from books. I think that this experience is one of them." And Nooni has also worked hard for this project. I don't mind staying here for a few days with her. Shekhar smiled and gave in to his wife and daughter. Days later, Abdul Rashid and his team praised the third temple of Lord Vishnu with his wife Lakshmi. Vishnu was sleeping on a serpent and Lakshmi sat near his feet. The temple was called Anantashyana.
Anantashyana.
Anantashyana. The story on the platform was a part of the Ramayana. Soon the team uncovered the fourth temple. It was a temple of Rama, Lakshman, and it was the temple of Rama, Lakshman, and Sita. And the storyline describes.
Why do you like? Why are you laughing? Why are you smiling, Usha?
Why? What happened?
Huh?
Why? What happened?
You're smiling now.
Why? What happened?
Okay, continue.
And the storyline described Sita's stay in Ashokavana and the bridge built by the
And नहीं है ना यहाँ पे.
the bridge built by the monkey army of Rama's eventual Rama's eventual coronation. मतलब
राज्याभिषेक. Coronation means राज्याभिषेक.
मतलब
राजा बनाया जाता है उनको.
Rama's eventual
Eventually means time के साथ में.
eventual coronation. Coronation.
You want to see the pronunciation of this word?
Yes. और अगले टेम्पल देखे तो कौन सा होगा?
Coronation.
Coronation. Coronation हो रहा, ठीक है. यहाँ पे देखो पानी में डाल के ये देखो ये. अब बोलो coronation of राम. ये देखो राम भगवान फोटो आ गया.
ये वाले लगाओ.
लगाना क्या है इसमें?
इसमें एक बार पिक्चर लगाओ तो. हाँ बढ़िया.
Next.
The next week, it was the turn of the fifth temple dedicated to Hanuman.
Jai Hanuman.
Jai Hanuman. And it depicted.
Why are you laughing?
It depicted मतलब.
Depicted means दिखाया, दिखाना.
It depicted Hanuman opening up his heart to show Lord Ram residing in it. The story of Hanuman's childhood and how he flew to the sun god to eat him appeared in the corridor. The sixth temple belongs to 16-handed Durga in the act of killing the demon Mahishasur, while the platform told the story of Durga and Parvati. Lord Ganesha was in a dancing pose in the seventh temple. He had a big stomach and was holding laddus in one hand, while the second one carried a book. His other two hands held weapons. Accordingly, his story lined the platform. Lined the platform मतलब?
Lined the platform.
Lined मतलब?
Lined the platform. ये story है ना जिसकी platform के according है उसकी story. His other two hands held weapons. Accordingly, his story lined the platform.
Lined the platform गूगल में देख लो, आपको तो नहीं आता.
हैं?
आपको तो नहीं आता, गूगल में देख लो.
नहीं lined the platform क्या है? His story lined the platform. मतलब कि उसकी उनकी story जो platform के according है. See, if you want to see, you will see that. ऐसा कुछ है नहीं ना word ऐसे. Lined the platform. ऐसा कुछ है नहीं ना. Lined the platform. ऐसा कुछ है नहीं विशा. Lined the Accordingly, his story lined the platform. मतलब उस story भी platform पे लिखी हुई है ऐसे ही है.
Lined the platform. The last temple had the statue of the goddess Ganga, and she held a big pot in her hand. All along the platform was the story of the churning of the sea, and at the bottom of the well there was a cow's face. That night Ajja developed a high fever and was unable to get out of bed. Ajji gave him some home remedies, but they didn't help.
They didn't help.
But they didn't help. Ajji advised him not to go to the site the next morning. Ajja refused to listen to her and somehow made his way there. But Abdul Rashid sent him back. The fever continued for days and Ajji became very concerned. She called up her son. Shekhar, your father has high fever for the last 3 days. I want to take him to the hospital in the town nearby. What medicine should I give him? Amma, first have his blood tested to see if it is a viral infection or not. These days, Bangalore has all sorts of diseases like swine flu, chikungunya,
Chikungunya.
chikungunya and dengue fever. I don't want to scare you. It is better to start treatment early for him since he is old. He must come here to Bangalore so I can take good care of him. Aja came on the line and refused outright. I can't travel in this state. Why can't you come here tomorrow? Appa, I have some patients to take care of. Aji took the phone from Aja and said, if you have patients, then you must also have assistants. This is your father, for God's sake. Come here and examine me.
Examine me.
Examine him. Shekhar reached Somanahali by mid-morning. The next day. Once he was there, he found that many people in the village were displaying the same symptoms as Ajja. So he distributed whatever medicine he had to as many people as he could. He asked his mother, what happened to the primary health center here? Ajji said, the doctor here has gone
They're
on
here, nahi there.
the doctor there has gone on vacation. There is nobody here whom we can run to in times of crisis.
Crisis नहीं crisis.
Crisis मतलब?
किसी कठिन समय में.
Crisis. I request you please come to the village regularly and take care of people like us. You come from this village too, and you can understand the people here. Think about it. You will be doing us a great service. Shekhar did not say anything and left for Bangalore. By now, 2.5 weeks had already passed, and the structure was ready for viewing. There were 8 beautiful temples in all, and 21 steps from the ground to the bottom of the well. But there was no water in the pond. This was a step well without water. So everyone came to the conclusion that whatever they had heard about the step well was true, except for one small difference. There were 8 small shrines. मतलब
Shrines means क्या बोलते हैं उसको, पवित्र जगह पूजा पाठ की ऐसे.
There were 8
Exact meaning I'll tell you. Shrines means जहाँ देवी देवता वगैरह रहते हैं, मंदिर टाइप.
Shrine.
A place that is important to a particular person or group of people for religious reason, or because it is connected with a special person.
Shrine.
Shrine. ये देखो shrine है. Shrine. Temple है ना? Shrine or temple. Okay. Next.
There were 8 small shrines, and not all of them were of Lord Shiva. Nuni asked about Abdul Rashid.
Asked about?
Nuni asked about.
About?
Now Nuni asked Abdul Rashid. Amma says that Lord Ganesh is always first when it comes to initiating मतलब
Start करना.
initiating anything new or special. He is worshipped before any other god. Then why is he at the bottom?
Why is he
at the bottom of the step well? In this case, shouldn't he be on the top? No, he replied. Since the water source is at the bottom, the water will touch Ganapati first. Nuni nodded. She finally understood the logic behind placing Lord Ganesha where he was. There were many inscriptions मतलब
लिखा हुआ चीज.
inscriptions on the steps and the walls of the structure. Abdul Rashid translated the script loudly for everyone to hear. This great stepwell temple is built by King Somanayaka in 1000 C. 1000 C मतलब
1000 means ये सी का मतलब होता है विषय कि टाइम पीरियड बता रखा है कि एक होता है बिफोर क्राइस्ट और आफ्टर क्राइस्ट, सो ये बता रखा है सी, ठीक है।
क्राइस्ट मतलब
जहाँ से ये ईयर चालू हुआ, जैसे अभी 2021 है, 22 चालू होने वाला है, सो 2022 साल तक कहाँ से स्टार्ट हुआ, जीरो से स्टार्ट हुआ ना, तो उस जीरो के बाद में और जीरो के पहले ये चीज़ है।
नहीं समझ में चलने दो।
सी फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ आई से 1000 सी मीन्स यहाँ से स्टार्ट हो रहा है, ठीक है।
एक साल
हाँ, आफ्टर एडी ये हो गया, ये एडी 1980 हो गया, अराउंड बिफोर क्राइस्ट, ये बिफोर क्राइस्ट का टाइम हो गया कि
क्राइस्ट मतलब
कहते हैं कि जीसस क्राइस्ट वहाँ पैदा हुए थे ना, वो जीरो से बोलते हैं, सो बिफोर क्राइस्ट, ये क्राइस्ट का टाइम पीरियड मान लो ये पे, तो इससे पहले का जो टाइम उसको बोलते हैं बीसी बिफोर क्राइस्ट, और एडी आफ्टर हो गया, जिसको सी बोलते हैं कॉमन ईरा, सी मीन्स कॉमन ईरा, बीसी मीन्स बिफोर कॉमन ईरा, ओके।
तो सी
जो 2022 चल रहा है ना अभी, तो उसको बोलते हैं कॉमन ईरा, ठीक है विशा, बिटवीन बिफोर प्रेजेंट बिफोर एडी, ठीक है ना। एडी मीन्स एनो डोमिनी, जो कि सी कहलाता है, कॉमन एरा एंड बिफोर कॉमन एरा, ओके, जीरो से पहले, मतलब कि यहाँ से केवल 1000 साल पहले की बात है। नो
Hindu calendar date 922 of Shalivahana Saka. Sumanayaka believes in all gods. He has built this temple in the memory of his late father, who died in battle with the Ganga dynasty.
Dynasty
मतलब
कुल,
Ganga Kul. The temple has taken 10 years to build with the cooperation of the best artisans in the land.
कारीगर्स मतलब जो बनाते हैं।
हाँ आगे This temple should be used only for the purpose of obtaining drinking water and on full moon nights. And the temple must be kept closed for repair and maintenance. So Manayaka has donated hundreds of acres of land to several people. The entire stretch of land has been divided into 7 equal parts. The first part belongs to the main priest and his family, who performs the puja at the temple several times a day. The second portion is donated to the man who looks after the administration and maintenance of the temple and also works as an assistant to the main priest. He can be from any community. The third portion goes to the person who cleans the temple every day. The fourth part is for the person who brings flowers and makes garlands for all the deities. The fifth is for the person who lights the lamps of the temple in the name of the king. In the name of the king मतलब
किंग के नाम पे उनको जलाते हैं ना, ऐसा नहीं कि जैसे कि अपन दिया करते हैं तो कहते हैं कि भी हाँ चलो मैंने दिया क्या, लेकिन वो जो काम होता है, सारा काम होता है दिया जलाना पूजा, तो वो राजा के नाम पे होता है।
राजा के नाम पे होता है।
हाँ, राजा की तरफ से होता है
कि राजा के लिए जाए,
राजा ने करवाया है, ओके।
The sixth portion is reserved for the dancers and musicians of the temple who performed their art in front of the gods. The seventh and the last is for the cooking and distribution of food to the pilgrims. If someone takes over the property and does not do their duty, then they must return the property or else be subject to punishment. King Sumanayaka has proclaimed, if somebody proclaimed मतलब कहा?
हाँ बताया।
If somebody helps in restoration मतलब
दोबारा बनाना
of this temple,
सही से रखना उसको,
of this temple in due course of time, then I will be grateful to them no matter what community they are from, because they would have understood my spirit. I will touch their feet from wherever I am. मतलब ये क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं?
मैं कि जो भी इस टेम्पल को सही से रखेगा, तोड़ फोड़ का नहीं बनाएगा, सही से रखेगा, भले वो कोई सी भी कम्युनिटी से हो, कोई भी जाति के हो, तो वो बोल रहे कि सोमनाय का जहाँ भी वो रहेगा ना, जहाँ भी उसकी आत्मा, वो आत्मा उसको, जो बंदा उसको देख रेख कर रहा है उस टेम्पल को, उसको हाथ जोड़ेगा, टच करेगा ऐसे।
हाँ, जो भी उस टेम्पल की देख रेख करेगा।
हाँ,
I pray.
टाइम के साथ, ड्यू कोर्स ऑफ टाइम।
I pray for such people to increase their population on Mother Earth. While everyone was happy to see the structure, Ajja and Ajji were not. They were really concerned about the lack of water. According to them, a well without water was like a tree without leaves, a sky without the sun, and a night without the moon.
And a night.
And a night without the moon and the stars. Why was this temple closed? A question echoed from the visitors. Logically, I can tell you why, but I am not sure if it is the right explanation, said Abdul Rashid. The temple had and the statues are intact. And the statues are intact. मतलब?
Intact में बिना टूटी फूटी नहीं है, वो सही सलामत है.
Intact, which means that there was no foreign मतलब?
Foreign, बाहर से.
Invasion मतलब?
Invasion.
हाँ.
Attack.
Invasion here. I think that there was a war.
A
war, and at that time this.
At the time.
And at the time, this temple must have been very famous. The king might have been scared that his enemies would destroy the temple, and so he covered it up with sand to avoid spoiling the artifacts inside. Cleverly, he covered the top of the well with mud to hide it completely. It was his way of protecting the structure. He must have planned to reopen the temple after his enemies retreated, but maybe that never happened because he lost the battle. Over a period of time, this incident became a story, and as it got passed down from generation to generation, it became less and less accurate.
Accurate में सही नहीं है.
That would explain the different folk stories about the stepwell. What about the water? The source must be really close to this. I believe that it should be somewhere near the cow's mouth, because here in India we believe that the source of water must be directed in such a way that it flows through a cow. Let's do some work near the cow's mouth tomorrow and remove all the dirt from the pond. Maybe we can disassemble the cow and see where the block is. By noon the next day, all the women from the village came to the site with a pot in hand. They were hopeful about finding the source of water. When Abdul Rashid disassembled the cow's face, they saw a huge stone kept inside and open.
Kept inside?
Kept against an opening, presumably
अनुमान लगाते हुए.
to stop the flow of water. Abdul was right. He explained. So Manayaka's architect must have advised him to close this source of water before shutting the well completely. That was sensible. Without the water, the well became dry, and it was easy for them to fill it with sand and mud. The team cleaned the area around the source of the water and removed the stone carefully. At first, the water was slow and muddy, but within minutes it became clear. Within a few hours, the water reached the bottom step of the well. When one of the women wanted to drink the water and brought the pot close to the bottom of the well, immediately Ajji said, "Stop! Let's not drink any water before praying to the goddess Ganga, who is the mother of all rivers. Let's thank her for being here. Give the first glass of water to Rashid Sahib. He has done so much work for our temple." Aji grabbed a steel tumbler,
बर्तन.
tumbler, filled it with water, and offered it to Abdul Rashid. He faced eastwards to Mecca,
मक्का.
did a quick namaz and prayed, "Oh Allah, be merciful on us, on this temple
And-
on this on
Temple.
and on this temple and these people. Let the steel tumbler मतलब
हाँ?
steel tumbler
स्टील का बर्तन पता है पानी गिलास लेते हैं उसे.
कितना
ऐसे
बचा है?
बर्तन. आज पढ़े नहीं उषा. Oh Allah, be merciful on us. Tumbler ही होना चाहिए.
मैं खा लूं ये?
क्या? हाँ खा लो.
माँ खाना को भोग चढ़ाया है क्या? किसी भी
This
चीज
is a
का?
tumbler उषा बर्तन. Look at here.
ओके.
Can you see? Okay.
हाँ.
Tumbler.
Tumbler.
Tumbler. A tall glass for drinking out with straight sides and no handle. कैंडल नहीं होता ना उसको बोलते हैं. जैसे इमेजेस आप देखो तो ये ग्लास स्ट्रेट ग्लास ठीक है ना ये हो गया स्टील टम्बलर. आई थिंक यू अंडरस्टूड राइट. नेक्स्ट Allah, oh Allah, be merciful on us and on this temple and these people. Let the water here be a source of energy and inspiration. Let it flow in abundance without any constraints. Then he drank the water and said, "It is as sweet as coconut water." Aji opened a cane basket lying on a chair by her side. There were many things inside it: a sari, a blouse, bangles, flowers, a ball of kumkum, fruits, a box of mithai, coconut, and ration for one person's lunch. She kept the basket in front of the goddess Ganga, touched it to the cow's head, and turned to Rashid. In Karnataka, we call this Marada Bagina. It is given as an offering. I take Goddess Ganga's blessings and give it to your wife. This is our tradition and I hope that you will accept it, Rashid Sahib. Abdul Rashid was speechless. He bowed down humbly and took the basket. The next tumbler of water was for Nuni. Suddenly, she was nowhere to be found. Ever since the excavation had started, she was always helping in some way. Everyone was aware that it was this little girl's strong will that had helped locate the stepwell. Nuni was called and she came running from the back of the site. Though the water was neither boiled nor cooled, she drank without hesitation. Shankar Master added, "This is pure water from the spring and passes through the sand, which means that natural filtration has taken place." "Oh, it is sweeter than nectar." Nuni repeated the lines from Aji's story. Everybody rejoiced, and one by one, all the women took a tumbler of water. That evening, the press was also informed, and soon reporters started coming in. Initially, Abdul Rashid had not entertained them, but now he felt that the time had come for the country to know about their discovery. Hordes of people started interviewing Ajja, Hanume Goda, Shankar Master, and Abdul Rashid and his team. But nobody forgot little Nuni and her band of friends. Everybody asked the same question: "What made you boys and girls dig that day?" All the children felt shy and hesitated to answer the reporters' questions, but not Nuni. She boldly said, "Anyone who loves our village and believed in the existence of a step well would have done the same." Ajja thought that it was a very diplomatic answer. Shekhar was also interviewed. Within a day, the news of the excavation hit the daily newspaper of the state. Lots of photographs appeared in the media. Photographs. Some enthusiastic volunteers also. कहाँ पे?
Enthusiastic volunteers.
एंथुसियास्टिक साहस वाले कि भी हाँ यार ये करना है बहुत अच्छा है. वॉलंटियर्स जो अपनी मर्जी से काम करते हैं पे के बेस पे नहीं आगे बढ़ के काम करते हैं अपनी मर्जी से. Some enthusiastic volunteers also made a small guidebook for the structure. The Minister of Culture declared this is a state heritage site now, and there will be a special bus from Bangalore to make it easier for visitors to get there. The news reached Delhi, and even the Central Minister for Education showed an interest in giving the stepwell a special grant and allocating a budget. Soon, a new sign was painted at the entrance of Somanahali, along with a small write up about Somanayaka and his deeds. The sign read, "Please visit the beautiful stepwells architecture of the village. It was a wonderful time." So that's all in this video. We have completed this chapter and we'll come back again with the next chapter. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you so much for watching this video.
I'm pretty sure यही आखिरी chapter होगा.
Let's see.